This is Mastering Your Wealth with David Gagnon, the podcast.
The big question is, well, how am I going to spend my money? Or in some cases, a lot of people are scared to spend. JP Morgan did a study about how people spend and don't spend their money in retirement. They found that people who got 20 to 40% of their income from maybe a pension or a pension-like source spent $50,000 a year. So my question is, do they view a pension or Social Security or maybe even annuity as a paycheck? And are they fine with spending it before they get into their savings? How do you navigate this conversation, David?
Well, I'll tell you, we get more calls from folks that are struggling with creating income when they retire. They're looking for some type of structure to put a plan in place so that they know their money is invested appropriately. They're generating the income that they know they're going to need because there's been a plan that has identified that. And when people are apprehensive about spending their money over and above their Social Security or a pension, it's because they don't have that type of plan. What a plan will do, it gives you the validation when you run your numbers into the future, adjusted for all the variables that might impact your needs, such as inflation and taxes. It'll identify your income gap that we need to create an income plan for. And then when we have that data, we can build a strategic income plan design so your investments are in the right income producing options and not be in a position of selling off shares, especially if you haven't really aligned your investments appropriately for income. Because when people are working, a lot of people are invested for growth, and then they don't make any modifications to their investment plan when they go from a growth objective. Then when they go to the work side of the equation, they need income. So their plan has to be aligned with their objectives to really kind of fulfill the solutions that the plan will identify. But when people are secure and they know where their money is coming from, and if you have Social Security coming in, and some people will have pensions, and if we build in a higher floor of lifetime income by incorporating maybe an income guaranteed annuity with a rider, that gives people comfort knowing that they can spend that money and always have it, never run out of it, and have the freedom to do what they want. And when we have the plan design, we can build other income sources for discretionary spending or goals that they have to buy things or do things with the family. So we get pretty creative. I mean, I had a client last year that they had 70% of their income was coming from Social Security and a deferred annuity. And that gave them enough confidence to start scheduling trips. They traveled frequently. They're traveling now as we speak. And they had the peace of mind knowing that their money was predictable and they could spend that money without worry because it was going to be there for as long as they both lived. So it's important, I think, to see if clients really need to create more pension-like income by utilizing the right tools to optimize not only your Social Security claiming strategies, but you can create more pension-like income with the right investment tools that can be part of that income plan. So many of the folks that are approaching retirement, what we're always doing is putting together a personalized strategic income plan. And we have a couple that's retiring pretty soon. We just put their investments in a plan that's designed to accomplish a number of things. They have Social Security, but not a pension. And we can custom build these plans for what you want and what you might need, because the analysis will show us what you do need when you tell us what you want to live on. And so what we're able to do is identify, on top of their Social Security, how much more lifetime income do you prefer to have? That gives you a good level of comfort knowing that that's always going to be there and you don't have to worry about those dollars. And so we put together an income payout annuity, and that increased their floor from their combined Social Security of $60,000 to almost $100,000 in lifetime income. That gave them a lot of cushion to kind of live their lifestyle the way they had envisioned and they described to us. But that did leave a lot of other money on the table to build into the future other financial benefits, such as growth on the money. And it was designed to grow with airbags. So now they have growth in the money, and they have protection factors, so the markets aren't going to have a correction that could derail the retirement. And we also were able to build in some healthcare planning for out-of-pocket healthcare costs. And we also structured their investments to be more tax diversified. So in the future years, when they start drawing some more income, that income is going to come out tax-free and ultimately give them more spendable dollars. So this is what strategic personalized planning can do. You can build out your plan. You can tell us what you would like to have in the form of benefits. And then once we have the plan designed, it's easy to identify how you should invest your money and how to coordinate that investment strategy with your income plan strategy as well as a tax reduction strategy. And this is what I don't see people getting help with. And so we get calls for people that are looking for outside the box thinking, comprehensive planning. And when you get to that point with an advisor that can do that, they will create a lot more value for you because they'll find ways to mitigate things that might be costing your money in your blind spot and give you better control over the outcome in the future because you have a real plan. Because I don't see people working off of a plan when they make their financial decisions. And that could be a big problem when you're halfway through retirement and realize you made a costly mistake and now things aren't going to work out so well and it's hard to back up and fix that problem when it's too far down the road in retirement. So as you can see, planning is a little bit more than just saving and investing your money and then start taking money from your nest egg. There's a lot of moving parts that have to be evaluated so that we can identify how to get the most out of your resources with a coordinated plan and find ways to mitigate potential setbacks, whether it's market risk, interest rate risk, longevity risk, healthcare risk. A lot of things could impact your money in a bad way. So I'd like to sit down with folks that might prefer that type of clarity and understanding of what they're presently doing, what's working, what isn't. And we can have that conversation about doing a comprehensive forecast analysis that will just put us in a much better position to guide you as to what we can do differently as far as implementing not only a plan, but how to fund it correctly and how to put it into action.
A very important conversation to have. A couple things here about how and where are you going to spend your money? And by the way, or how are you going to replace that paycheck? If you're lucky enough to have a pension, congratulations. If you're not, find out how you can create pension-like income. That's, of course, where David comes in. Allow him to put his nearly 40 years of experience to work for you. The hardest part for you right now is picking up the phone and committing and saying, listen, I'll sit down for this complimentary consultation, David. I want to hear what you have to say. Let's talk about my wants, my needs, my fears, what do I want to do in retirement, and see how David can help you. Again, 203-872-0009. That's 203-872-0009. And again, that website, masteringyourwealthradio.com. AARP. It was actually formerly known as the American Association of Retired Persons. I get mail from them all the time, David. I guess my name is on some kind of list because I do this show with you. It's always interesting opening up the mailbox going, I am years away from retirement. Why are they targeting me? You know what I mean?
They want to sell your stuff.
Yeah, of course they do. Of course they do. Well, listen, they have over 38 million members. And so what are they most concerned about? Here is CEO Dr. Maisha Mincer-Jordan on CBS Sunday Morning.
People are living longer, they're staying in the workforce longer, and so the needs are changing, but the needs are still urgent. Our members are most worried about Medicare, Social Security, and family caregiving. We're hearing more and more from people who are in the sandwich generation, taking care of younger children, taking care of their aging parents, and the financial hardships that can bring.
Yeah. So, let's break this down here just a little bit because I thought it'd be kind of more of a basic fear. Basically, am I going to run out of money in retirement? People ask you that all the time. How do you help clients move fear into confidence?
Well, we always talk about having a plan. People are worried about running out of money. That's the number one fear that people seem to have, and based on statistics, when they're getting into retirement. And she was just mentioning on the audio that healthcare planning for family members has been a challenge, and I'm seeing this I'm living this with many clients right now, and also a family member. So it's emotionally draining and physically draining when you're taking care of a loved one and overseeing their care, and it could be financially draining. Some families are contributing to the cost of the parents' care or loved ones' care, and that can really have a very negative impact on their retirement objectives. So the thing to do is you really have to plan. And in this business, whether it's tax planning, financial planning, investment planning, healthcare planning, all those areas are very complex. And so if you have somebody that you can work alongside that has experience in what can happen in all these different areas of planning, where there are things that are setbacks that could affect you in your planning or opportunities. There are things that are in your blind spot that you don't see, and you don't really know how to coordinate this into a cohesive, highly efficient plan. And so, for instance, we had a couple earlier this year. They called us. They were radio listeners, and they were delaying retirement because they were afraid to retire. And they weren't sure if they could make it all work. Emotionally, they were ready to retire, but financially, they weren't really confident. So when they came in, we did the analysis. We looked into the future with what they were doing today. We mapped it out for the next 30 years. And we showed them how to restructure their plan to fill in their income gaps because they were only going to have Social Security and create the cash flow that was predictable with some other backup protection factors for inflation. We found ways to make them more tax efficient. And what it came down to was once we had their plan in place and we could validate and we were able to give them permission, they could retire and make it all work till 95 very easily with very conservative assumptions. That just gave them the confidence to take that action and go into retirement. So 6 months later, they're into retirement. And so this plan is something that we just modify as we have reviews each year because maybe they're going to need to spend more money. Things change. Tax laws change. Your spending could change. Healthcare could change, which could affect your expenses. And so now they are enjoying retirement. They don't have the financial anxiety of the unknowns because they have a plan. And it documents that this is going to work out with a very high probability of success. And more people, if they go through this exercise, may find out they can retire sooner rather than later because we can validate through analytics and the analysis that we do that it's achievable. So if you're on the sidelines wanting to know whether retirement is really a reality for you right now, give us a call. Let us do that analysis for you.
For more details or to sit down with David for your complimentary financial GPS, visit masteringyourwealthradio.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Brookstone Wealth Advisors, LLC, BWA, a registered investment advisor and an affiliate of Brookstone Capital Management, LLC. BWA and First Financial Planners are independent of each other. Insurance products and services are not offered through BWA, but are offered and sold through individually licensed and appointed agents.
Information provided is not intended as tax or legal advice and should not be relied on as such. You are encouraged to seek tax or legal advice from an independent professional.
Any comments regarding safe and secure products and guaranteed income streams refer only to fixed insurance products. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. Fixed insurance and annuity product guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing company and are not offered by Brookstone.
David Gagnon and First Financial Planners are not affiliated with nor endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.
Registered investment advisors and investment advisor representatives act as fiduciaries for all of our investment management clients. We have an obligation to act in the best interest of our clients and to make full disclosure of any conflicts of interest. Please refer to our firm brochure or the ADV 2A Item 4 for additional information.